Hello, and welcome to the Mastermind semi-finals with me, John Humphrys. In the spotlight tonight are Jonathan Gibson, a PhD student in history whose specialist subject is William Pitt the Younger. Alison Lyndon Parker, an operations manager who'll be answering questions on the bridge. Mark Robotham, a product manager whose subject is the Grand National. And David Workman, a youth and community director, his specialist subject, the plays of Joe Orton. Four contenders with but one thought on their minds at this precise moment. Can they make it through to the grand final? If they do, they will be one step away from winning the famous glass bowl and, of course, the title, which really matters, the title of Mastermind champion. They each have 2 minutes of questions on their specialist subject, 2.5 minutes on general knowledge. So let's get on with it and ask our first contender to join us, please. And your name is?
Jonathan Gibson.
Your occupation?
PhD student in history.
And your chosen subject?
William Pitt the Younger.
Britain's second longest-serving Prime Minister, who held the post from 1783 to 1801 and then 1804 to 1806. Here we go. What was the name of the tutor who helped with Pitt's home-based education and accompanied him to the University of Cambridge when he was admitted at the age of just 14? Wilson. The tutor said of him that he seemed never to learn but merely to recollect.
Wilson.
Yep. Which constituency was Pitt elected to represent in the 1781 by-election? He told his mother that he would win the election without my having any trouble or even visiting my constituents.
Appleby.
Yep. Pitt made his maiden speech in the House of Commons in support of an opposition bill on economic reform. The Prime Minister, Lord North, declared it the best first speech he'd ever heard. Which MP had put forward the bill?
Burke.
Yep. Who was the Prime Minister of the government in which Pitt was appointed Chancellor of the Exchequer in 1782? The government lasted just under 9 months, and Pitt turned down King George III's request for him to lead a new one.
Shelburne.
Yep. Pitt eventually accepted George III's offer to form a government in December 1783 at the age of 24, which parliamentary bill had the previous government been defeated on in the House of Lords after the intervention of the King?
The East India Bill.
Yeah, which French politician offered Pitt his daughter's hand in marriage when Pitt spent 2 months in France while out of government in 1783? Pitt reportedly replied that, "I am already married to my country."
Necker.
Yeah. Pitt instigated a debate on the abolition of the slave trade in 1788 on behalf of an MP who was ill and who said that Pitt agreed to do so with a warmth of principle and friendship that have made me love him better than I ever did before. Which MP was that?
Oh, Wilberforce.
Yeah. In 1798, Pitt fought a duel with a fellow MP after a heated exchange in the House of Commons over Pitt's attempt to increase the size of the Navy. Both sides missed, and Pitt reportedly fired his second shot into the air. What was the name of his opponent?
Tierney.
Yeah. Which tax did Pitt introduce in 1799 to help fund the war with revolutionary France? He said that the tax was warranted by justice and expediency and a great temporary exertion.
Income tax.
Yep. After the French Revolution, Pitt enacted legislation to curtail meetings on parliamentary reform, and some radical activists were put on trial for high treason. Which activist called Pitt as a defence witness at his trial?
Took.
Yep, that is correct. No passes. You got them all right, Jonathan. 10 points.
Thank you.
And our next contender, please. And your name is?
Alison Lyndon Parker.
Your occupation?
Operations manager.
And your chosen subject?
The Bridge.
The Bridge, the Nordic television crime drama series, starting now. When a body is found on the Øresund Bridge between Malmö and Copenhagen, detectives from each city work together to solve the case. The Swedish detective Saga Norden is played by Sofia Helin. Which actor plays her Danish counterpart, Martin Roda?
Kim Bodnia.
Yeah. In Series 1, the journalist Daniel Furbeck comes up with a nickname for the killer who wants to bring attention to 5 problems in society. The name becomes abbreviated to the letters TT. What does that stand for?
Truth Terrorist.
Yep. At the beginning of Series 2, a ship goes off course and runs aground under the bridge. The crew has abandoned the ship and 5 people are found chained below deck. What's the name of the ship?
The Faxberg.
Yep. An eco-terrorist group calling themselves Friends of Faxberg wear animal masks in the videos in which they claim responsibility for terrorist attacks. A boy called Linus realizes the man in a pig mask is his brother, Niklas, when he spots a distinguishing physical feature on him. What feature?
The scar on his wrist.
Yep, the leader of the terrorist group in Series 2 uses the name Mother of Three on an online forum to communicate with his accomplice, Julian. What name does Julian use on the forum?
Stressed out dad.
Yeah, at the beginning of Series 3, Saga has a new Danish colleague called Hannah Thompson, who dislikes Saga's unusual manner. When Hannah is injured in an explosion, another Danish officer requests to work on the case with Saga. What's his full name?
Heinrich Szabo.
Yeah. In Series 3, the murder victims each have a letter or number burned inside their mouths that relates to a code found in Morten Anker's caravan. The letters are in the Glagolitic alphabet. What ancient number system are the numbers from?
Babylonian.
Yeah. At the beginning of Series 4, Henrik visits Saga in prison after she's been wrongly convicted of killing her mother. She tells him she's chosen a new hobby because it doesn't invite interaction with other inmates. What hobby?
Pottery.
Yeah. The Danish police want to find out more about the illegal immigrant Tariq Shirazi and his connection with the murder victim Margareta Tormod. So they release him from custody with a tracking device on him. The device is planted in which of his belongings?
Watch.
Yep. The theme music of all 4 series is sung by the Danish band Choir of Young Believers. What's the title of the song?
Hollow talk.
Is correct. No passes. Alison, you also have them all right, and you have 10 points. And our next contender, please. And your name is?
Mark Robotham.
Your occupation?
I'm a product manager.
And your chosen subject?
The Grand National.
A famous 4.5-mile steeplechase run at Aintree. Here we go. The first running of the Grand National is generally considered to be the 1839 race, although at the time it was known as the Grand Liverpool Steeplechase. Which horse won it?
Lottery.
Yep, the 7th and 23rd fence on the Grand National course is named after the horse who won the race in 1967, when he was the only runner to clear the fence at the first attempt on the second circuit after a mass pile-up had effectively brought the race to a halt. What was his name?
Foynaven.
Yeah, Red Rum won the race 3 times and finished second twice between 1973 and 77. He'd been bought by the trainer Ginger McCain for 6,000 guineas at the Doncaster sales on behalf of an octogenarian businessman. Who was he?
Noel Lemaire.
Yeah. In 1993, the race was declared void because of a false start after the starting tape was caught around a jockey's neck. The first horse across the finishing line was Esha Ness, ridden by John White. What was the name of the horse's trainer?
Pass.
The youngest winning jockey in Grand National history was the 17-year-old Bruce Hobbs, who rode Battleship to a narrow victory ahead of Royal Danieli in 1938. What was the name of Royal Danieli's jockey?
Pass.
In 1977, Charlotte Brew became the first female jockey to ride in the Grand National. 5 years later, Geraldine Rees was the first female jockey to finish the race. What was the name of Rees's horse?
Cheers.
Yep. The jockey who rode the winners of the 1957 and 62 Grand Nationals went on to train the winning horses in 65 and 66. What was his name?
Fred Winter.
Yes. Richard Dunwoody rode in 14 Grand Nationals and won twice on West Tip and then Mini Homer. He rode in his final national in 1999 and finished 3rd. What was the name of his horse in the 1999 race? Call It a Day is correct. The 1928 winner, Tipperary Tim, was one of only 2 horses to finish the race that year, and the only one not to fall. What was the horse's starting price?
100 to 1.
Yep. Lord Galeen became the 3rd winner of the race to have been bred in New Zealand when he beat Sunny Bay by 25 lengths in the 97 race, which was delayed by 2 days because of a bomb scare at Aintree. Which jockey rode him?
Pass.
Well, we're out of time, so I can tell you his name was Tony Dobbin. 2 other passes. The name of Royal Danieli's jockey was Dan Moore, and Jenny Pittman was the name of that trainer. You have, Mark, 7 points. And now our final contender, please. And your name is?
David Workman.
Your occupation?
Youth and Community Director.
And your chosen subject?
The plays of Joe Orton.
A British playwright who had a short but prolific career in the 60s. Here we go. The first play Orton wrote was Fred and Madge, and in it the title characters both have pointless jobs. Fred pushes a stone uphill and Madge empties a bath of water. With what kitchen utensil?
A sieve.
Yeah. Orton's play The Ruffian on the Stair was first broadcast by the BBC in 1964. The original title of the play was the same as that of two works he'd written earlier with his lover, Kenneth Halliwell. What was the original title of the play?
The Boy Hairdresser.
Yes, Orton was asked to write a film script for a famous pop group, though it was ultimately rejected. Orton wrote, difficult. This, I don't think any of them can act in any accepted sense. The script was called Up Against It. Which pop group was it?
The Beatles.
Yep. Orton had his first major success with Entertaining Mr. Sloane, which opened at the New Arts Theatre in May 1964, before a transfer to Wyndham's Theatre. The transfer was financed by another playwright who told Orton, you've written the most exciting and stimulating first play that I've seen in some 30-odd years. Which playwright was it?
Terence Rattigan.
Yep. One Orton work was described by a critic as a very bad play. The original production of the play starred Kenneth Williams before it was recast and rewritten. It went on to win the Evening Standard's Best Play of 1966. Which play?
Loot.
Yep. In the stage directions at the end of Act 1 of Loot, Inspector Truscott finds something on the floor. He sniffs it, he holds it close to his ear, he rattles it, he takes out a pocket magnifying glass and stares hard at it. What was it?
A glass eye.
Yes. Orton created an alter ego who set herself up as a guardian of high moral standards. In one letter to a magazine, she wrote, the plays of Joe Orton have a most unpleasant effect on me. What was the name of this alter ego?
Edna Wellthorpe.
Yeah, two of Orton's plays, The Ruffian on the Stair and The Erpingham Camp, were presented on stage as a double bill entitled Crimes of Passion in 1967. At which theatre were they performed?
The Royal Court.
Yep, Orton described the stage version of The Erpingham Camp as the best play of mine performed so far, though he said that if a certain actor had been playing Erpingham, they'd all be raving. Which actor was it?
Arthur Lowe.
Yep. In Orton's last play, What the Butler Saw, Mrs. Prentice and her husband have a row. She declares, my trouble stems from your inadequacy as a lover. It's embarrassing. You must have learned your technique from a what? Go on.
Doctor.
Christmas cracker. No passes. David, 9 points. What a high-scoring specialist round that was. Let's have a look at all the scores. In fourth place with 7 points, Mark. Third place, 9 points, David. Joint first place, 10 points apiece, Jonathan and Alison. So now it is the general knowledge round, and if there is a tie at the end of it, which seems entirely probable, then the number of passes is taken into account, and the person with the fewer passes is the winner. And if they're tied on passes as well, then there has to be a tie break. So let's ask Mark to join us again, please. And Mark, you start out with a formidable 7 points. Let's see how you do with your general knowledge. 2.5 minutes, starting now. A common term for an insincere show of remorse or sadness refers to the tears of a certain reptile because of an old belief that it weeps before it devours its victims. What reptile?
Crocodile.
Yeah, one of the 5 boroughs of New York City is named after Catherine of Braganza, the consort of the English King, Charles II. Which borough?
Queens.
Yeah. In the 2020 London Marathon, the women's world record holder, Bridget Kosgei, successfully defended her title. Which East African country does she represent?
Kenya.
Yeah. The Tenant of Wildfell Hall was published in 1848. It was the second novel by which of the Bronte sisters?
Charlotte.
Anne. Grosse Fuge is a movement for string quartet written in the 1820s by which German composer?
Beethoven.
Yep, an infectious disease which mostly affects children and is caused by a strain of Streptococcus bacteria gets its name from the bright red colour of the rash that is one of the symptoms. What name?
Scarlet fever.
Yeah. Which American dramatist wrote the plays Glengarry Glen Ross and American Buffalo?
Pass.
Which hydrocarbon has the chemical formula C8H18 and is named for the fact that its molecules each contain 8 carbon atoms?
Octane.
Yeah. Which Roman emperor ordered the execution of his third wife, Messalina, in AD 48 after he discovered that she'd been plotting against him?
Caligula.
Claudius. Which veteran naturalist and broadcaster broke the record for the fastest time to reach 1 million followers on Instagram in September 2020? His debut post was a video that encouraged followers to take action to save the planet.
David Attenborough.
Yep, the decline and fall of Tom Raquel, a young man who inherits his late father's fortune, is the subject of a series of engravings by William Hogarth. Which series?
The Rake's Progress.
Yes. On October the 1st, 2002, a city in northeast England became the first in the UK to introduce a congestion charge for motorists. Which city?
Newcastle upon Tyne.
Durham. Richie Havens was the opening act at a music festival held in New York State in August 1969 on land owned by a farmer named Max Yazgur. Which festival?
Woodstock.
Yes. The French town of Le Puy-en-Velay is famous for a local variety of a type of pulse grown in the area and named after the town. What pulse?
Puy lentils.
Yes. In 2012, the singer and musician Marcus Mumford married an actress who has starred in the films An Education, Never Let Me Go, and Suffragette. What's her name?
Pass.
What therapeutic system in which a patient was apparently hypnotized using a force originally known as animal magnetism is now named after the physician who pioneered it in the late 18th century?
Mesmerism.
Yes. In 1992, Manuel Noriega was convicted by an American court of various crimes such as drug smuggling and money laundering. He was previously the political leader of which Central American country?
Nicaragua.
Panama. You have 2 passes, Mark. It was Carey Mulligan who had starred in An Education, Never Let Me Go, and Suffragette, and David Mamet, who wrote Glengarry Glen Ross and American Buffalo. You have now, Mark, 18 points. And now David again, please. And, David, you start out with 9 points. Let's see how you do with your general knowledge. 18 is the score to beat as we speak. Here we go. Moccasins, winkle pickers and slingbacks are stars of what items of clothing?
Shoes.
Yeah. Which Parisian museum and art gallery opened a branch in Abu Dhabi in 2017?
The Louvre.
Yeah. In March 2020, a wire-haired dachshund called Maisie won the Best in Show accolade at what televised contest?
Crufts.
Yeah, what word of German origin is the name for the prongs of a fork or the pointed parts of a deer's antlers?
Prongs.
Times. In 2017, synchronized swimming was given a new name by the sport's governing body. What new name?
Water dance.
Artistic swimming. The discovery of the inscribed slab known as the Rosetta Stone in 1799 made it possible to decipher ancient Egyptian hieroglyphics because it bears the same text in Egyptian Demotic script and what other language?
Assyrian.
Greek. In September 2020, Andrew Holness was re-elected as Prime Minister of which Caribbean country?
Jamaica.
Yes, a loudspeaker designed to reproduce low-frequency sounds is known as a woofer. What's the corresponding term for a loudspeaker designed to reproduce high-frequency sounds?
Subwoofer.
Tweeter. How many years after the date of first registration must motorcycles and cars of up to 8 passenger seats normally undergo an annual MOT test?
A year.
3. A 1999 horror film's opening titles state, in October of 1994, 3 student filmmakers disappeared in the woods near Burkittsville, Maryland, while shooting a documentary. A year later, their footage was found. What's the full title of the film?
Blair Witch Project.
Yeah. A large city in Texas, which is an inland port connected to the Gulf of Mexico by Galveston Bay, is named after the first person elected as president of the newly independent Republic of Texas in 1836. Which city?
Pass.
In 1997, a well-known cookery writer and broadcaster became a joint majority shareholder of Norwich City Football Club together with her husband, Michael Wynne-Jones. What's her professional name?
Delia Smith.
Yes, the mineral sphalerite is primarily used as an ore of which metallic element?
Iron.
Zinc. The surviving members of British rock band Rod Stewart, Kenny Jones and Ronnie Wood reunited at the Brit Awards in 2020 to perform their 1971 hit Stay With Me. What's the name of the band?
The Faces.
Yeah. What Spanish word meaning cauldron is used in English for a sunken crater at the center of a volcano?
Lava.
Caldera. Which actor co-stars as the fastidious Felix opposite Walter Matthau as the slovenly Oscar in the 1968 film The Odd Couple?
Jack Lemmon.
Yeah. What French term translates as to the point and is used in English to mean familiar with or well informed about a particular subject?
Pass.
Well, I can tell you because your time is up. Au fait. And you had one other pass. That large city in Texas was Houston. You have 17 points. And now Jonathan again, please. And you have 10 points. And 18 is still the score to beat, to be in with a chance of going through to the grand final. Let's see if you can do it. Here we go. Chai, which originated in India, is a spiced and sweetened version of what hot drink?
Tea.
Yep, the term nuncio, from the Latin for messenger, is applied to a diplomatic representative of a senior figure in the Roman Catholic Church. Which figure?
Pope.
Yep. Which American rock group was fronted by the singer and guitarist Jerry Garcia? The group broke up after his death in 1995.
Grateful Dead.
Yep. Which royal palace was the birthplace of Queen Victoria? Part of the building became the official London residence of the Duke and Duchess of Cambridge shortly after their marriage.
Kensington Palace.
Yep. A British composer whose works include the cantata Belshazzar's Feast was born in Oldham in 1902 and died on the island of Ischia in 1983. What was his name?
Orton.
Yep. Which American athlete said on his return from the 1936 Berlin Olympics with 4 gold medals, "I wasn't invited up to shake hands with Hitler, but I wasn't invited to the White House to shake hands with the president either"?
Owens.
Yeah. The word fax, which refers to a technology for transmitting documents electronically, was coined as an abbreviation of what word?
Facsimile.
Yeah. The small species of fox, Vulpes zerda, is native mainly to the deserts of North Africa and is distinguished by its extremely large ears. What's its common name?
Fennec Fox.
Yeah. The comedy character known as the pub landlord was created in the 1990s by which comedian?
Almoe.
Yeah. Which British author wrote the 1933 book Testament of Youth? It's a memoir of her experience as a voluntary aid detachment nurse and her life before and after the First World War.
Britain.
Yep. The channel that extends from the Severn Estuary to the Atlantic Ocean and separates South Wales from southwest England is named after an English city at its eastern end. Which one?
Bristol.
Yep. At the Academy Awards in 2006, Philip Seymour Hoffman won a Best Actor Oscar for his portrayal of an American author in a film that depicts events which led to the writing of his book In Cold Blood. Who was he?
Capote.
Yep. In 1976, the Vietnamese city of Saigon was renamed after a former president of North Vietnam. What's the city's new name?
Ho Chi Minh City.
Yep. What Latin term is used to refer to an artwork that depicts Christ with a crown of thorns? It translates as "Behold the man."
Ecce Homo.
Yeah. What word commonly used to mean flexible is used in physics to refer to a collision in which the total kinetic energy of the colliding bodies remains unchanged?
Elastic.
Yes, in 1917, 2 young girls took a number of photographs of each other, seemingly interacting with fairies that many people at the time, including the author Sir Arthur Conan Doyle, believed to be genuine. The photos were taken in which village? Near Bradford.
Cottingley.
Correct. What's the word for a piece of turf displaced from the ground by a golf club, a footballer's boot, or horse's hooves? Golf courses often display signs which ask players to replace any they cause.
Divot.
Is correct. No passes, Jonathan? All right. 27 points.
Thank you.
And finally, Alison, please. And Alison, you start out with 10 points. 27, the score to beat for a place in the grand final. Here we go. The cyclist and journalist Henri Desgrange established a now prestigious annual cycling race. Which one?
Tour de France.
Yeah. What former structure in Berlin is known in German as Die Berliner Mauer?
Reichstag.
The Berlin Wall. In a theatre, the lowest row of seats in the auditorium, often considered the best in the house, are known by what name?
Stalls.
Yeah. Which Duchess referred to herself as Mrs. Freeman in her correspondence with the future Queen Anne, who in turn called herself Mrs. Morley?
Pass.
In 2015, the euro replaced the litas as the basic unit of currency in one of the Baltic states. Which one?
Latvia.
Lithuania. Primate of all England's a title held by the Archbishop of Canterbury. The similar title, Primate of England, is held by the Archbishop of which other diocese?
York.
Yeah. The 1979 documentary film The Kids Are All Right features television interviews, promotional films and live performances by a British rock band after a 14-year period beginning in 1964. Which band?
The Who.
Yep. A thin British sandwich biscuit with a central layer of currants is named after a 19th century Italian nationalist and military leader. What was his name?
Garibaldi.
Yep. The comedian Tom Walker appears in a series of satirical online videos in which he plays a news reporter who rants about the story he has just supposedly reported on. What's his character's name?
Jonathan Walls.
Jonathan Pye. The red properties on a standard London monopoly board are Strand, Fleet Street and what other location?
Trafalgar Square.
Yes. In November 2019, Sir Lindsay Hoyle was elected to what position in the House of Commons?
Speaker.
Yes. What was the surname of the American band leader and trombonist Tommy, whose swing band played with singers such as Frank Sinatra? His older brother Jimmy was a well-known clarinetist and saxophonist.
Boyd.
Dorsey. A schoolteacher born in Nuneaton was instrumental in the formation in 1964 of the Clean Up TV campaign, a forerunner of the National Viewers and Listeners Association. What was her name?
Mary Whitehouse.
Yes, in geometry, the sum of the internal angles of a regular polygon, such as a pentagon or hexagon, equals the number of sides on the polygon minus 2 multiplied by how many degrees?
240.
180. Which artist was born in Switzerland in 1879 and is buried there, but was a German citizen throughout his life and was granted Swiss citizenship only after his death? Together with his friend Vasily Kandinsky, he was a member of the so-called Blue Four group of painters.
Pass.
The bouncing bomb, which was used by the RAF in the Second World War, was designed by a British aviation engineer. What was his name?
Pass.
I've started, so I'll finish. The Olympic athletics contest for women, which combines 7 track and field events, is called the heptathlon. What's the name of the equivalent contest for men, which combines 10 events?
Decathlon.
Correct. And you had 3 passes. Barnes Wallis designed the bouncing bomb. That artist, who was a member of the Blue Four group, was Paul Clay. And the Duchess, who referred to herself as Mrs. Freeman, was the Duchess of Marlborough. Alison, you have what might at any other time have been considered a winning score, 19 points. So let's have a look at the final scores. Not there's any doubt about the winner. In 4th place with 17 points, David. 3rd place with 18 points, Mark. 2nd place with 19 points, Alison. In 1st place with 27 points, Jonathan. Which means, of course, that he goes through to the grand final. Congratulations to him. And if you would like to be a contender in the next series, you don't have to score 27 points. Do go to our website, bbc.co.uk/mastermind, and you can follow us at Mastermind Quiz. And do join us again next time for more Masterminds. And thanks for watching. Goodbye.
I chose William Pitt the Younger as my specialist subject because it's such a passion of mine. And really, a book about William Pitt the Younger that my history teacher gave me when I was 14 years old is the reason why I became a history student. I was really nervous. The sort of sense of comfort that I'd got after the heats had completely faded and it all felt incredibly alien again. But actually, once the questions started coming, I felt like I got into a bit of a rhythm once I knew the first couple.
Which French politician offered Pitt his daughter's hand in marriage when Pitt spent 2 months in France while out of government in 1783?
Necker.
Yeah.
It was a bit nerve-wracking, obviously, for general knowledge round, as both of us had 10 points. So I just really thought, try and rack up as many points as possible. And luckily, questions came my way that I knew the answers to. Pope.
Yep.
Fennec Fox.
Yeah.
Capote.
Yep.
Divot.
Is correct. No passes, Jonathan. All right. 27 points.
I didn't get anything wrong this time. That was just insane. Thank you. I can't remember the last time I saw that ever happen on Mastermind. As I was walking back to my chair afterwards, I didn't think I'd be able to stand up. It was just beyond my wildest imagination. I haven't actually got a question wrong now in my specialist subject round, neither the heat or the semi-final, so there's quite a lot of pressure now for the final to keep that up. So I need to get to work.